Thank you for coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about, and if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. We're going to start with a test, and I'm going to give you all the answers to the test. We're doing this test because we're doing this class different. If you have been to a profile class before, it's a repeat. You can go online and watch on YouTube and watch the prior profile class. The information I give today is going to be presented differently and less detailed. Hopefully more so you can understand how you can benefit personally and how to use it. If you have not ever received one of these charts, now's a good time to take one of these, because posture affects different parts of the body, which changes the function of the organs. See, that would be of help. I'll have my lawn mowed in about 10 minutes. I'll be all done with my lawn mowing. Okay, let me give you a very brief history of why we use this information. Years ago, there was a group of chiropractors that asked the question, what is an ideal spine? We figured we get the answer right away. The American National Chiropractic Association didn't know. The orthopedic surgeons didn't know. Nobody, the medical profession, nobody would say this is a normal spine. Well, part of the reason we asked is because we were taking x-rays of the full spine, top to bottom, single view, front and side. And we had a couple of patients that were engineers. They worked for NASA. They were very into biomechanics, structural biomechanics. And so they wanted to know if what was normal on the design of the spine. Where is the head in relationship to the pelvis? Where is the pubis in relationship to the hips, and all those kinds of things? We ended up coming up with 52 different measurements that we could take off from the x-rays. But nobody said what normal was. But what they noticed was when they measured the different factors, some numbers were greater than others. For example, when we take a view of the spine from the side, if the body leaned forward, the patient was sicker than if they were balanced. If they leaned back, they were sicker than if they were balanced. We learned that if the head went off to one side or the hip dropped on one side, they were sicker, less health. At that time, we measured in millimeters. We did that because millimeters are very small. and we fine-tuned the analysis. And we would add up the numbers and to determine how sick the patient was, based on how far they were away from normal. We then ended up coming up with our own conclusion what a normal spine looked like and published it. And it became accepted as this is a normal, healthy spine. I'm going to pass this around. This shows a picture graphically of what a normal, healthy spine is. From the side and from the front, both sitting and standing. It should be the same. So back to the study. The engineers said the structure of the body, the structure determines the function. The less ideal, the less ideal the structure, the sicker the patient. Now, I want you to remember those words. Structure determines function. So we'll pretend like you're a group of engineers. So if we modify the original design, the original intent of the biomechanical alignment of the spinal column pelvic unit, if we deviate from that, we have less quality of function. Does that make sense? Now, the truth is, the divine design of the human body was, the designer was who? God. And whose image did he make us in? His. So he knows it works. And he's made it so that we can reproduce over and over and over again with the same basic fundamental design. And we know from experience that the further away you are from normal, the more sick you are. Now, if you want real proof of that, go over to the senior center and look at the posture of the people in the senior center who have deformities. They may have a good mind, but the structure is not functioning well at all. Now that's them. What about us? Well, with our research, it didn't matter what technique we used on some people. About a third of the people that we were involved in the research did not respond to regular chiropractic. They did not respond to massage. They did not respond to physical therapy, to any of the physical kind of medicine. And we had another couple of patients of ours that were psychologists. And they asked the question, maybe what we've been telling is true. We've been telling people for a long time, it's in your head. There's something that's not right in your head. That's why you're sick. We said, well, okay, why don't you take these people that are not responding to physical treatment and you bend their head and see if we can get changes. So they did. I don't know if you've ever had a psychological evaluation. I have 600 questions, and you go through and you think, I've answered this one 3 times. And I can't remember the answer. You see, anyway, we get done, they come up with patterns. That was the bottom line. So different people have different patterns. We then correlated their patterns with the x-rays and came up with very, very accurate, tight-knit correlation. So when a person leans to the right, we know from the psychologist they're more sensitive, loving, caring. That's more normal for female. We also learned that if they go left, they're more logical, more success-driven. Now there are certain ranges that are okay, so you can deviate right or left some, but if you go too far, then you break down. We also learned from the side view, if you go too far forward or too far back, you have problems also. If you go too far forward, you become more aggressive than your body can handle. Now just hold that thought and I'm going to tell you a quick story. Our son Andy bought a Volkswagen to drive 3 miles to high school. It was an old Volkswagen. It didn't have good brakes. It didn't have good steering. The heater didn't work. It had a lot of problems. So he borrowed my Coleman propane gas heater to heat up the car and use it to keep him warm in the winter. And he determined from his own experience that if he drove above 45 miles an hour, it became a death trap. So that was no problem. He's driving it around in town, slow speed is fine. But he had to limit what he did because of the mechanical failure in the car. You and I are like that. When I do an analysis on you and when I do an analysis on me, we all have certain things that are not according to divine design. So all of us in this room are what we could be termed fixer-uppers. And some have more potential than others. Well, back to the study. The psychologists worked with the people who had the mental deviated fixations, patterns. And guess what? We then evaluated them with our mechanical analysis on X-ray, and they had improved significantly. So then we got really excited because we could treat both the mind and the structure, and we knew what to tell them. So words then became very therapeutic. It also helped us to know as doctors and parents that words can be very traumatic if you use the wrong words with people who have a deviation. And today I hear that often, where parents tell their children, "You're a superstar." No, you're not. You're a clumsy little kid. You can't run, you can't walk, you're not good at anything other than running your toy. And they lie to them, and so they make them sicker by not shipping them up and getting them back in line when they're young. So they grow up being deviated young adults, and sometimes deviated old people. Some of you have friends, right, that are kind of off kilter. So the good news is, because of divine design, all can be improved. How good do you have to be?
A B.
A B. That's all. We'll finish the perfection in the next life. Here we just want to be a B, all the way around the triangle, okay? So that's the introduction. Let's go through the test. True or false? Like a two-edged sword, posture affects personality, and personality affects posture. That's true. Now, if you get the basic concept of what I tell you today, you'll be able to relate to people. You will be able to relate to people better if you relate to them according to their pattern, not yours. For example, if they lean to the right, they're emotional, they're sensitive, they want to do the right thing. For them to think logically with minor situations, it's a minor therapy. So you can ask, I would never ask a person who's right how they feel. I'd ask them what they're thinking about. So it becomes therapeutic. Because they're not thinking, they're just feeling. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Might want to help bring them back. Number 2, posture modifies tension on the brain tissue and modifies its function. True. Think of a horse. You're riding a horse improperly. You have 2 reins. You pull one side back. That affects the brain function on that horse. If you lay to the right and too far, it affects your brain function. If you go too far away from acceptable ranges. I drew a picture on the chalkboard, whiteboard. This is front, this is back. This is the acceptable deviation. It's on this sheet. You can go forward, back, forward to back. It says right there, A to B, right at the top, 25 millimeters. That happens to be 1 inch. So if your head is more than 1 inch forward, you're wasting energy. If you hold back more than 1 inch, you're resisting being who you are. You can go right or left, 12 millimeters, that's down at the bottom. 0 is perfect. Zero is when the head is right square in the middle, and that's rare. Most people will either go right or left. What's normal? Female should be right, male should be left. Ideal couple, female right, husband left. If you have a husband that's right, then the wife needs to be further right. So he's on the left. You have a strong relationship. Number 3, head forward posture causes one to behave more aggressive than tissue tolerance. True. Think of the Volkswagen. Many of you, because you are good people and you want to do a lot of good things, you drive faster than is safe. So you have head forward posture. What does that do to you? Head forward posture affects brain function. It affects life expectancy because you waste energy with the muscles trying to hold your body from tipping over forward. Number 4, a flattened lumbar curve indicates internal anger. That's a true statement.
Do you know what the lumbar curve is?
The lumbar curve is that between the belt and the ribs. That's down here. That curve should be forward, like your belly. If it flattens out, you become more constipated. You have prostate bladder, bowel, sphincter issues because it affects the nerve flow. And it can be worsened by internalizing anger. So when you get angry and you hold it in, a lot of you do that. People say things or do things, even you do things that make you angry, and you suck it up and don't say anything. You internalize the anger, it hurts you, and it changes your posture. It weakens you overall. I saw a young lady this morning, and she said, we're talking about perfection. And I said to her, you need to sin more.
Sin more?
Sin. Sin. You need to sin more. I said, no, I know there are two kinds of sin. There are sins of commission, and I know you don't do that. I'm thinking about sins of omission. That's where you want to do something, you probably know you should do it, but you don't do it. Why? Because it's above and beyond your tissue tolerance. If you do it, you break down. And the good book says, go the extra mile. It does not say go 2 miles. It says go the extra mile. It also says don't run faster than you have the ability to run. So when I tell you don't walk, that's what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you to slow down and take the time to heal the tissue. And that takes a long time. In the book I talk about the deep hole. A lot of you have deep hole kinds of problems. They've been there for a long time. Like my son's Volkswagen. That Volkswagen didn't just wake up one morning bad. It took a long time, a lot of disuse, lack of care, lack of treatment, lack of time to heal and recover and regenerate. So you break down. The thoracic curve, that's that curve where the ribs are. When that part of the back, which should be curved like this, should be curved back by design. It shows you this picture. That's this part right here. By divine design, it should have curved back.
Which part?
This part right here, where the ribs are attached. Did you go on these? Where the ribs are attached. It should be, that's the design. The vertebra are built so that curve is natural. But if you become abusive, that flattens out. You can become abusive by doing too much. You can abuse yourself by exceeding tissue tolerance. And that will flatten out. When you go to church and you want to do an exam on your friends, just shake their hand and put your other hand around back and check the lumbar curve, check the thoracic curve. You can do a real quick assessment. Now, number 6. One leans or lifts to the right. They're trying to be emotional and sensitive. True. The next one, 7, left, allows for increased logic. Next time you're at church and you're sitting watching the speaker, look at them and see which way they lean. And you go, uh-huh.
So if you leaned left, would you get more logical?
Yes. No. Yeah.
Well, isn't it, it's your head? Or is it the whole body?
It can be all of the above. Now, I'm going to stand up. Can I stand up?
You sure can.
Okay. If where should my head be when I stand?
Center.
Straight over. Yeah.
Centered. Centered. Centered this way, not left, not right. Right in the middle. When you stand on the T-zone, without you even thinking about it, your body will, I say it's like shaking the sugar bowl. It kind of levels out automatically. Do I want to lean forward or back?
Either.
Where do I have the most power?
Neutral.
Neutral. The most power is neutral. Then when I need to be aggressive, I have energy to be aggressive. When it's wise to be passive, I can back off a little bit and not have it hurt me because I'm backing off. Now I told you in class it's good to be mobile and flexible and aligned. The same is true if we talk about the personality profile. You want to be centered, neutral. The book says judge not. You want to be in your face and push and shove. You also don't want to be withdrawn and not participate when you could or should. The power is in the center by divine design.
Can you change that? Say if you're in a meeting and you're feeling like you're not supposed to be there, or you know you're a little bit inferior to everybody else. Can you change that by leaning forward or physically doing a motion to be more aggressive, or
Yes.
is that you can't change that?
Yes.
You can change your.
Right now.
So I could lean forward and be more participation.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If somebody came after my wife or my daughter's family, I'm not gonna walk over to them like this. I'm gonna puff up. I'm gonna look big. Okay. I'm ready. Okay. I'm stable. I'm strong. I'm neutral. I'm not gonna cheer you up unless you deserve it.
Like a big puffy bird.
Yeah.
Fluffs up his chest and
Puff
goes forward.
That's what it is in all nature. Now number 8, this is very common. Dowager's hump. That's where the upper rib cage goes like this. The head goes forward. The T1 angle, that's on this page right here. That angle right there becomes very high. So when we look at that spot on the x-ray, that vertebra is not sitting at a 25-degree angle, it may be at the 40-degree. That vertebra is tipped way up. You all know men and women that have a Dowager's hump. It's because they don't like themselves. Keep that in mind. They're unfriendly with part of who they are. Because number 8 says excessive self-critique. Most women who have a Dowager's hump have been told things about them, or they perceive things about them that are not true. And they believe them. They feel inadequate. That's it's very common. Number 9, increasing the angle of the sacrum. That's the bottom part, this bottom part of the spine. That's the part you move when you do the sacral slide. You land on the back, you're doing the sacral slide. You're mobilizing the sacral angle to align back to its current maximum recovery position. And if you think the thought, I am getting better and better every day in every way, remember, when you do the sacral slide, you think those thoughts. I am getting better and better every day in every way. Your body knows that optimal alignment mechanically is 45 to 55 degrees. That's divine design. If it goes higher than that, then you can have excessive creativity or even sexuality. I've treated young men and women who have a very high angle and have morality problems because it's too high. I have treated people who have too low a sacral angle. If it goes too low and goes flat, then they have less desire to live. So when you see people that have a flat low back and their butts tucked under, they don't have as much fire in them. And if it goes below zero, they can even have a death wish. I know what I'm telling you is true. I've treated the people, I've talked to people. I've had patients who had a death wish, and I asked them, I said, on your x-ray, your pattern shows you have a death wish. Talk to me about that. And every time they admit that they have considered suicide. And some of them have continued to maintain that pattern and have committed suicide. It's very accurate. Just so you know, right now in Idaho, then the two age groups that have the highest suicide rate are 15 to 24, and men over 72. And as the economy gets worse, both those numbers are going to go higher. Number 10, decreasing the sacral has a tendency to decrease creativity and even a death wish. That's true, I told you that. It's always best to be balanced, true. The greatest position of power is neutral, with spinal column. You want the spine to look like this. And what you think affects it. Now, I gave you a lot of information in a short time. We have plenty of time left. I'm going to go with you through this page right here. This is very accurate. The information on this page is an accumulation of many hundreds of hours of study, thousands of patient evaluations, and it's very accurate if you understand it. And my goal is to help you with the basic concepts and give you some tips so that you can go home today and make some changes today in your behavior physically, and then your behavior mentally to change physically. If you change the way you think, you will change your body's posture. Yes.
If you have a family member that shows a lot of these negative things, is there
Hope?
Is there a way that you can work around it so that you can help them to change? Or, because if you point it out, they'll say, no, I'm not.
That's right.
But how can you help someone in your family or a friend or somebody?
Okay, that's a perfect question. I didn't pay you to ask that, did I?
Yes, you did.
I said to you earlier today that words can be therapeutic. Many times I have evaluated young people and said to the parents, okay, your child has this pattern. I already indicated, if your child has a deviated pattern, they have deviated behavior. Okay? Don't tell them they're awesome. You're lying to them. They're not.
So some people think that if you tell them positive statements, then that they will become positive.
I understand.
But your psychic knows that it's a lie.
It's a lie. Anything, same with the Dowager's hump. If you stand and look in the mirror and you say, you know, I'm fat and ugly, and you're not, you lied, you're not, that's not true. You may be a little bit overweight, you may not be the best looking, by the way, just for the record. And you can take this to the bank. The more symmetrical the body, the greater the attraction. The straighter the face, the straighter the structure, the greater the attraction to that person. The greater the self-confidence in that person, because they're in harmony. See, the goal is to have the physical body be a manifestation of the spirit. And the goal is to have the spirit in alignment with divine design. So you've heard this statement of behavior within the bounds the Lord has set. We're talking about the straight and narrow path. That's what I showed you here. That's the narrow path. It's 1 inch wide and it's straight. That's where you want to be. And you will stay focused on that. And when you say the words, I am getting better and better every day, that's a self-correction of when you deviate. We all deviate. Like my son's Volkswagen. It doesn't take an old Volkswagen to deviate. You know that if you're following somebody down the road. I mean, everybody has to adjust to the environment. It could be the wind. You know, you drive from here to Dubois and you're leaning into the wind. Okay, so yes, word choices are important, but keep this in mind. I can't change you. I'm not even going to try. But I'm going to teach you how you can change yourself if you want to change yourself. I happen to believe David O. McKay. He said all growth comes from within, not from without. He said that our true aim is the consciousness of victory over self. Victory over self. And to build yourself under the inspiration of God, realizing that all growth comes from within, not from without. You can't fix it with a pill, a surgery. You can patch with pills and surgery, but you can't fix. So back to your family member. And we all have family members who have deviated from the ideal, optimal design. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all you can do is be non-judgmental, be available. If you understand, you can help. Now, I'm going to tell you something very close, and this will be recorded.
We can edit it out if you'd like.
You know, my wife does a lot of quilting, and sometimes she spends excess time leaning and twisting. Well, she did that. So her knee got sore. So she compensated for her left knee and leaned to the right. I noticed her walking. She's leaning to the right. We sit down to eat, she's leaning to the right. And I'm thinking, oh no. I'm in trouble. Because she's going to want to have everything right.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I have to think, well, it's hopefully temporary. Hopefully I can say the right words, behave the right way, and go lay down on the table so I can fix your knee. And it took a while to help her get back. So that little problem changed her personality short term. Now, this week I saw a fellow, I watched him walk down the hall, took his picture, and I knew he had a foot problem because of his posture. Now you can go home from the class today and say, Dr. Smith told me that I can change my feet by changing my posture. So those of you who know, you know that if you lean to the right, you take a step, and your body will do what? It will start to fall to the right. So what does your body automatically do? It turns the foot out. When they turn the foot out, now we have a problem because the foot's going that way, the body's going that way. Well, what happens in the knee? Every step becomes traumatic to the knee.
So people that walk like a duck are going to have knee problems.
Oh, they have them now.
So that would make your hips.
That's right. And they have foot problems. If you lean forward beyond that, what I told you, then the foot flattens down. Now you have a foot problem and a knee problem, both. So how do you correct that? You must get the posture back where it belongs, on the back part of the foot when you stand, and be less aggressive. Do less, and that's hard. I texted a lady this morning who had foot surgery on both feet. She was a nurse. She spent a lot of time leaning forward. Her feet went like this. She's going to be 11 weeks non-weight bearing.
Oh, wow.
Now, in my mind, that's a lot of therapy time after the fact. And when it's all done, she's not going to be back to 80%. So if you have head forward posture, that's aggressive personality, you're too far forward, slow down, back off. When I say to you, you need to have a nap, you need to have a nap. You need to go to bed earlier. You need to take the time. It's much easier to take the time 1 or 2 hours over a long period of time than to end up at Irmac or in the bed somewhere over long in recovery and never be normal. Did that stimulate any other questions? What I said to you?
I have questions. So you don't tell a child he's a super child. How do you help him be confident and feel good about himself or what he's
Well,
doing?
if you know he has a problem, see, let me work with you.
Okay.
Let's see if we can help you do better. You know,
I mean, not facing that they have a problem type thing with
I
the
don't know.
child's discipline.
Okay. Every child is different.
Right.
From my opinion, I think children are the teachers. I went for a long time thinking, I'm the dad, we're the parents, we're the teachers, we got to teach our children. So we had five kids. Adam, oldest son, when I talked to him, I'd use it 2 by 2. I'd say, okay, I'm talking to you, boy. Listen with both ears. And then number 2 daughter, Deborah, some of you know Deborah, all I do with Deborah is go, and she would start crying.
Sorry.
So when I finally
Those are
learned,
both true stories, by the way.
when I finally learned that they're the teachers, I'm the student, I became a better parent. And I learned very quickly that if you want to know how to be a good parent, in a church you ask a dad, you ask a young adult that has no kids.
Right. Oh, yes.
They have all the answers.
True.
Well, you can always compliment a child or anybody with a sincere compliment. They're
Right.
really, actually really good at this. I like it when you do this. You're really good. It shows
Right.
this. Maybe we could work a little bit on this.
Yeah, reward appropriately. Reward appropriately. When they started giving the kids participation trophies,
And they play.
I said, that's evil, dude. You give the winner a trophy and the loser a loser. They have to do better.
I think that's one of the problems missionaries are having is they get out on their own and they can't accept discouragement, they can't handle their life and they're coming home early.
That's a big deal right now.
33%.
That's huge. But they come home and they go inactive. Okay, so back to here. Let me give you some keys that you can use today. A lot of you have T-zones. Let me talk to you about normal, appropriate adaptation. So I'll try to make this simple. When the body, I'll use me for an example. I should be left. When I stand on the T-zone every morning, I lean left further. I know from scientific, experimental history, documentation, that when my body appropriately compensates, my pubis will go right. Head left, pubis right. That helps keep the weight even on both feet. If I go right, guess what my pubis says? Goes to the other side. So what do I do on the T-zone? Both. It's called stress, counter-stress. That's a common physical therapy technique to balance muscles. Stress, counter-stress. Where's my weight? Toes or heels? Heels. So my toes are loose, neutral, thumbs are forward. How far do I lean? Just about that far. How far do I turn my pelvis? The correct amount is half of this. That's on that form. If the head goes one way, the pubis goes the other. That's personal, active self-therapy. If you're already too far right, you stand in the T-zone, you know you're leaning right because I took a picture of you walking and you walk right and your toes go out right. When you stand on the T-zone, go left, turn the pubis right. That's therapy. Then go right, pubis left, that's stress. Then you go back to therapy, like Adam. I mean, I hit him on one side to get his attention, and then I hit him on the other side to make sure I got it. He ended up being a very, very fine gentleman.
So what did he teach you?
To be patient, very patient, and love him. I had to love some kids more than others. Our son Alma, our baby, he always signs his name, YBK, your best kid. He still thinks that. Is that true?
Yes. But we all thought that.
Okay, so sometimes, for example, you may have like I did, had a hip fracture, and I walked compensated for a long, long time, more than a year, with that right hip. I knew it. I knew if I did not support that, it would affect my personality. So occasionally I would put a lift in my right shoe to wear to help hold my body up better. And some patients that I have wear a collar under the chin because they can't hold their head up good enough without support. So that's physical support at the appropriate time, but not all the time, off and on.
So you don't get dependent on it.
Exactly. Now, let's look at this top side view. The location of the head is very, very important. We're always going to do the best we can to keep the head directly over the low back. When you're sitting, when you're sleeping, when you're standing, when you're walking. Walking is a good time to practice. I recommend when you go shopping, that you use the time in the store as personal, repetitive, microtherapy, and hold the cart with the palms up, getting in close, bring the shoulders back, take small steps, because every step then becomes therapy. Does that make sense? What do you see when you go shopping?
Or this.
Yeah. When I go shopping with my wife to get 1 or 2 items, I grab a cart. Why? I want to do a few minutes of therapy. I spend a lot of time leaning forward. I do my therapy every night, like I tell you to do, on the T-zone. I stand, lean back, do high speed to get massage, and get my brain shut down, have a hot bath, prepare for recovery. And that's when you heal at night. And you want to dream at night. If you're not dreaming at night, healing like you could or should. Okay, last questions. Yes.
I'm one of those shopping cart people. So exactly what does that do? I know you said it's therapy, but what are you doing?
Let me show you. Where am I? Again, structure determines function. Structure determines function. If my knuckles are forward when I walk, my shoulders are rounded forward, guaranteed I'll have a shoulder problem. I probably have a carpal tunnel problem. Probably both. I'll probably have pain between my shoulders and lower neck. So what does that do? That forces me to open up the carpal tunnel, to take pressure off the elbow, to put the shoulder back where it belongs. You get up close, and now I'm standing more neutral, more balanced. You take small steps. I'm getting repetitive microtherapy back towards normal. Now you might say, well, that's not very long. Well, it's better than nothing. Any care is better than no care. Did
The
that
whole
make sense?
time? Yes, thank you. So would you recommend that the whole time is shopping, because I'm one of those shoppers? Would you do that the whole time? Say you're in the store for 45 minutes an hour. When I go to Costco, I'm there for a couple of hours. So would I hold the cart that whole couple of hours, or just periodically?
If you're there that long, get in one of the carts and ride around.
It's a barely sandwich.
Back and my dog.
No, off and on, off and
Off
on.
and
off
on,
and
okay, okay.
off and on.
And now, does it make a difference, because Costco carts are up high, some of the standard grocery stores are lower, so would I do that also up high on those higher
Yeah,
carts?
just get in close.
Just getting closer,
Yeah.
okay, thank
Get
you,
close, take smaller steps.
thank you.
Go
So,
slower.
can I give a testament for a minute?
What?
Can I give a little testament
Sure.
to the things you've said? He does his therapy, right? He hurt his hip. He does his therapy every night. He's balanced himself out. So I've been massaging him for a couple of years. And he has the most balanced body out of anybody that I work on.
Oh, thank you.
But it's a testament to his self-care, because he is leaning forward, working on all of you all day, right? And he works out in the garden, and he sews downstairs, and you wouldn't know that he has any posture, muscular issues, structural issues, because of how balanced he is. So do your therapy. That's my plug. Do your therapy.
It works.
Mental, emotional, your physical, all your therapies, do them. He's diligent about it, and you can tell.
We're all going to die, but we want to die quick. Like in the book, it said life should be like a candle. The flame will want to burn right down. I'll go out, take a week or a day or two and go quick. Don't drag it out over 15, 20 years.
So you said your father and grandfather followed that way of leaving this mortal life. Were they chiropractors?
No,
No,
they were farmers.
farmers.
That's why I've become a chiropractor. I grew up with
Cows.
cows. I'm a fixer-upper, okay? I did a lot of things wrong. I had a lot of severe back pain, even through chiropractic college. It wasn't until I was in my mid-30s and I finally figured out what really needed to be done to align my body. And it's true that you get a new body about every 7 years. And if you make changes like we talked about, your body will be better next year and more better. That's a southern term. More better and more better. And so you get better and better. And then finally you're done, you just check out. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your comments.